All right, folks, here we are. We are in Los Angeles. So I thought it was fitting that after getting a call from Mr. Bob Lambeck, that we should stop and visit him. I don't know him personally. I've never met him, but we've met today. We talked a little bit yesterday, and we thought it was that we really should come here and visit. Obviously, he has rich history. And the ironic thing, and this is the first thing he told me when we talked, was that he's from Belleville, Michigan. So he's a Detroit boy, basically, 15, 20 minutes away from George and myself in Michigan. Came here right out of high school and started his business years later. I mean, he got a job and worked, started his business, and I'm sure most of you know a lot of his history. We're going to let him talk about his first car. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I was able to buy a brand new 62 Pontiac, December 15th, 1961. It was a 4-speed tri-power, 348. And
bought it in Michigan.
It was in Michigan.
Yeah.
And I bought it in Wayne, Michigan. And my dad worked for Pontiac.
Yeah.
And I got it on a Friday. I drove it 100 miles.
Then what?
That night, I broke it. Because I floored it. When 100 miles, I got awarded.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I drove it home. I got it home, broke a lifter, and a push rod came off. So my dad knew who Bucky Knudsen was, and he was the president of Pontiac.
Nice.
And my dad called him on Monday and said, he broke it. Can you help him? And this is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I got the motor fixed. They gave me a new motor. They put it in, and they gave me the old motor. Well, it's the worst thing you could ever do. I mean, it hooked me bad.
Yeah.
And so I shipped it from Michigan to California on a train. No truck. Anyway, that's kind of where I came from.
So let's see. Wait a minute. Let's paint this picture a little bit. So you lived in Michigan. You bought the car in Michigan. Your family was there, but you ended up moving here at an early age, right out of high school, let's say.
What I
Does
did.
that sound right? Go ahead.
Here's my sister is a little bit older. She's a little older. She'll
Yeah.
say this. She's a little older than me. And she got married in 1958.
Yeah.
And moved to California. And they moved to Santa Monica. So in 1959, when the day I got out of high school, I got my driver's license. In 59.
Right.
I didn't graduate, but I was in the 11th grade. And we drove to California, my mom and dad and me.
Okay.
And we had a brand new 2-door hardtop Pontiac. Oh, was it cool. And I got out here and I said, this is it. Because I'm a Michigan guy. Mm-hmm. It rains every other day. And if it's not raining, it's cloudy. Yeah. And humidity is so high you can't stand it. And here, no, we don't have no humidity at all. Yeah. And in fact, if you're out here and your humidity gauge goes to more than 14%, you say it's broken. That's how bad. Anyway, so keep on going. We spent 6 weeks out here. Oh my goodness. So I go home, and my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, was into electronics. So he had gone to Detroit Electronics Institute, and he said, you go home, and when you get out of high school, it's in 1960, go to school for 2 years and get an engineering degree, and then when you come to California, I'll get you a job.
So he's here. He's already working.
Well, yeah, he's here, okay. and they live here.
Okay.
And pop up.
Okay.
And so I did that. The day I graduated, 1960, I got on an airplane and flew to California. And in the meantime, before that, my dad took me to the U.S. Nationals in Detroit.
Well, there was a little bit of a hook right there, would you say?
Yeah, and one of the days we took my dad's 59 Pontiac down to the drag races, and we parked in the spectators and went into the pits. Well, everybody he knew was there. So he said to me, he said, you want to run the car? I said, yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is really important. I beat the Royal Pontiac.
With your dad's car?
Uh-huh. Now, did I tell you how I did it? No, I don't want to tell you.
Okay.
He red-lighted. But I won. That's all that counts.
It doesn't matter.
Who was driving it?
Jim Wagner's.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, so I got out here in California in 1960. Then I decided in August I'm going home because I want to go to the 60 Nationals.
Okay.
So I flew home and went to the U.S. Nationals, and I saw Albertson Olds win it. I remember that Haruka Brothers was there, and they were running gassers, and Jeg was there. I mean, people that I know to this day.
Yeah.
And I'm hooked. And so anyway, I got a job. I went to Detroit, Electronics of Detroit. And then I got a job at the Corvair plant at Willow Run on the assembly line. I made $3.10 an hour.
Right.
So I graduated from the college, or the trade tech school, got on my Pontiac, and drove to California.
Okay.
Now my dad had said to me, I bought a 390 rear end. He said, why don't you change the rear end and put a 323 in it? I got one for you.
Yeah.
So I did.
Good thing.
And the night before, I raced a brand new 62 Oldsmobile 98 tri-power, and he beat me.
Because you put the gear in it.
Because I put the gear. I smoked one tire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to go home and change the rear end, but I didn't.
You had to drive to California.
Yeah. So I left to go into California, and the next day when I got here, I got a job for $5.25 an hour. That next day at a place called STL, Space Technology Lab.
Okay.
It's a big deal. Anyway, that's kind of where it's going. Hold on one second. Can you shut it off for a minute?
Sure. Did you get here, Bob?
I got here in March of '62.
Great.
And I didn't get to go to the Winter Nationals because it was in February.
Okay.
But I went and ran my car, my Pontiac.
Right.
I was so embarrassed on how fast it went. It was embarrassing to tell anybody I went to the races because it went 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And I got it within 1 year. I got it to go 1360. And I won my class. There was 13 cars. And I beat a guy with a 348 4-speed 58 Chevy, whose name was Del Blades from Phoenix.
Okay.
And he was at the time one of the baddest there was. And I beat him.
Right.
So now I think I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, in the meantime, I get married in '64.
Right.
And I take my wife's 57. Now, it wasn't originally, it was a 220 horsepower Power Glide, but because I towed home with the rope from Pomona, the Power Glide went bad.
Yeah.
So I put a 4-speed in it. Then I said, oh, I got 2 4-barrels. I'm going to put 2 4-barrels on it. And then I found a fuel injection. I'll put it on.
Yeah.
And I got a picture in there. Picture of my car on my honeymoon with a rag over the front of the radiator to get the motor to get hot enough so I was out in the middle of the desert so that we could have a heater.
Yeah.
And I said, this is so dumb to have a brand new car sitting in the garage and driving this old 57 Chevy. So I said, okay, I'm going to start racing it. And there it is up on the top there.
Which one?
It's the third one over. It's the third one over.
In the middle there, Joe.
Yeah. And it's a 2-door hardtop. Really clean car.
Sure.
Really, really nice. Her brother bought it new. So I took the Pontiac and put it back on the street, put the motor back together as a stock, pure stock, and towed the 57
Okay.
all the way to Indy with tow hubs.
Oh, man.
All the way to Indy.
Wow.
And I got a picture. I got beat at Indy. It was embarrassing. And he left on me and everything. Oh, it's just terrible. But anyway, so I came home and I put together a 2-door 150 cheap car.
Okay.
And I went to the Winter Nationals in 1968. No, in 57. I'm sorry. 57, I won the division. The first race I went to, I set the record. First record I ever had. I still have the sheet. And I went 107-14. Got beat first round. Went to the second race, got beat second round. Went to the third race, Vegas, I was runner-up. To a guy named Johnny Deanna.
Okay.
Do you remember that name?
Yeah, from the magazines.
Oh, you
back in the
betcha.
day.
And he beat me. So then I went from there, I went to Seattle, or to Salt Lake City.
So what years are we in now?
1967.
67.
67.
Okay.
And I went to Bonneville, to the drag races, and I got beat in the final by Jay Hamilton.
Okay.
He had a 58 Pontiac, that had a pig on the hood. You know what a 58 Pontiac, the hood must be 8 feet long.
Yeah, yeah.
And it had a pig, a huge pig, because that's what it was. And he broke the brakes, and he staged it by putting it in neutral and putting an emergency brake on. And then he sat in the car with no hand on the steering wheel, with a gear shifter and a handle on the emergency brake. And he pulled it down and left, and he beat me.
Well, hang on a minute. Let's just back up just a little bit. So you're from Detroit. You didn't come out here till 62. Well, Detroit Dragway started in 59.
I went.
You were there?
Yeah, 59 and 60.
Okay, but you weren't racing anything there.
No, because that was just the U.S. Nationals.
Yeah.
My dad knew somebody that was going to be the supplier of Coca-Cola there.
Yeah.
He got me a job.
Okay.
I sold one tray of Cokes. And I went to the guy and I said, I'd like to leave. Can I, buy my ticket? He said, no, you can have it. Because I didn't want to sell Cokes. I wanted to watch the races. That's no good.
Yeah. All right, good. I wanted just to establish the fact that, I knew Detroit Dragway started in 59.
Oh, yeah, I went. My dad took me, and then that's when I drove the 59 Pontiac. Mm-hmm. And, oh my God, it's so fun to look back. But anyway, so now I get to 57, and I win the division. I go to the last 2 races, Irwindale and Orange County, and I win them both. 4-speed, injected, pretty fast car. So I go to Tulsa, invited. So there's a guy there that I know. His name was Jerry Gross. Jerry Gross went to college at UCLA, and when he got done with college, he went to work for Carcraft magazine. So I'm at Tulsa, and here he comes, and he hugs me, and he squeezes me, and he said, boy, Bob, you did such a good job. Too bad you weren't running the right kind of car. He was the guy. Now, after he went to work for Carcraft, Chrysler hired him to do Dick Landy's front work before he went into a dealership.
Okay.
So I said, well, Jerry, you can make that happen. He said, you mean that? I said, yes. He said, okay. I want you to go buy a new 68 Hemi Dart. 4-speed, and I'll help you with all the parts. And I said to him, my mom, my dad, and my mother's husband had died. My wife's dad had died early. I said, they wouldn't be happy with me spending this much money, $4,500,
right,
on
a Hemi Dart.
On a Hemi Dart that I can only drag race. Give me one. That's what I said to him. He said, well, we're not giving those cars away right now, so let me see what I can do. So he calls me back the next day, and he said, Bob, would you drive for Dick Landy?
Nice.
And I said, yes, just like that. He said, yes? I said, yes. So, by the way, I had a 62 Pontiac that I drove on the street, and I raced a lot. I can tell you who I beat and everything about it, And I never got beat by anything but 2 cars. A 327 62 Impala, and the owner was Jerry Gross.
Okay.
And the other one was a 60 Corvette that he wanted to go from a roll. And I did it, and he beat me. Because all I could do was spin. Anyway, going on. So he said, okay, go over to Landy's. And I go over to Landy's.
So where was You're here. Where's Landy's?
I live in the valley called Sherman Oaks.
Okay.
Which is 4 miles from here.
Right.
And Landy's shop was 1 mile from my shop. But I knew him because he was on the fender.
Yeah.
But I didn't go there. He didn't do my work.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went over to the shop, and the car was there. And he said, I have one issue that I have. I'm going to drive it at the Pomona race, the Winter Nationals, and then you can have it the next weekend.
So I don't understand. Why wouldn't Dick Landy drive his own car? What was
Because they were the 440 Dart 1968, like the Mustangs, and the Mustangs were there like crazy. Mm-hmm. And Calvert's car. Now I don't know if Calvert's car, but what's
Joniak, El Joniak.
No, oh no, but yeah, but yes, but what's the guy's name from out there by? He still has the car.
Brent Hayek. Brent Hayek.
No.
Brent Hayek owns the cars that won in '68.
Okay, well,
right
anyway,
now, but
no, he still has it right now. He's got a Mustang, C-stock automatics with an automatic in it.
Richie Pauly?
Richie Pauly was,
Oh, okay,
you know,
yeah.
that car was, anyway, to make a long story short, Landy didn't win, but I ran my 57 Chevy there. And you know who a guy named Frankie Econogo was?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I beat him on the final for class. Now, do you know a guy named John Barkley?
I can't say that.
Big John. He beat a car called Sox and Martin in the final.
Okay.
And that was Jim McFarland from Carcraft Magazine.
Okay.
He beat me in the semifinal. And him and I are very, very, very good friends to this day.
Yeah.
He lives up in Oregon. And I helped him with a motor here not too long ago, 3-4 years ago. He's still got that car.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so then I got the car, and Landy goes with me to Irwindale on a Sunday morning. Just him and I. He drives the truck. We go out there, and I make 3 runs in a row. And he's on the way, he's telling me, this is the way I want you to do it. Shift it at this, Bob, and leave at this RPM. Leave it at dead idle. In fact, I don't even want you to put your foot on the gas. So, okay. So I make 3 runs, and he comes over to me and he said, would you mind if I made a run in the car? No.
It's your car.
Yeah. He said,
wait, what's the age difference between Landy and
maybe
you at
4
this
years.
time? Okay.
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 And at that time, in 1968, I'm 25.
Yeah.
Okay. So he makes a run, and he goes faster than I go. But I have a pretty good eye.
Yeah.
He don't leave it an idle. He's about 1,800.
Yeah.
So I come back,
You bring it up to 2,000.
and I leave, and I go 1/10 quicker than he went.
Yeah.
He said, "Okay, you got it." Oh man! And then, by the way, they had a thing called King of the Hill at Irwindale. If you won the division, the points of the bracket this week, there was 5 brackets, and you ran against all 5 of those cars, 3 out of 7 runs. So whoever was the best. And $100. I won 4 straight with my 57, and then I get the Chrysler car, and I make it, get it to 6 and 6 or 3 and 3, and that final one the guy beat me. And they wrote, and I got it in the paper. It said, just because Bob got beat, that was the first time he ever drove this car. So now go on. I win it 4 straight again with the Chrysler car.
So you're hooked.
Oh my!
You're-
I'm just terrible.
Hook, line, and sinker. You're
Now,
in deep.
There's another thing that I want to mention to you is when Kennedy got in office, I had bought a catering truck, and the guy that drove it for me stole my $1,000 and left, and so I had to start driving it. So I had to quit my job at Bendix Corporation because I had to drive it. And it made good money. I mean, to be honest with you, I could make $100 a day and steal $100 a day in 1963 or 4. It was unbelievable. So my brother-in-law had bought one, and then he bought one for his wife, my sister, and then I bought one, and we became called Holiday Catering. Well, then we sold it. So I had a little bit of money.
Sold the business.
But I couldn't get a job. So a friend of mine, and I lived in West LA, Santa Monica, right there, within 2 miles of each other. And he said, there's a dealership in Santa Monica called Cummings Buick looking for a parts man. Why don't you go look and see if you can get the job? So I went down there and I got hired right now. So when Buick bought Opel in 1968,
Right.
I was working there, and they shipped an initial parts order for parts that we need to have in stock for Buick Opels. Well, guess what one of them was? It said converter in German on the outside of the box.
Oh, jeez.
Wait a minute now. This box was so small, I laughed and I said, there's no converter there, because I'm thinking of a levered 13-inch converter.
Yeah.
I open it up and I see this baby converter.
Right.
I mean baby, I mean literally. So I call B&M instantly, because they were helping me on my car. And I said, man, you got to look at this converter. And I'm talking to Bob Spar. Bob and Don Spar were the B&M, and anyway, he said, "No, Bob, we have a 9-inch Ford Cortina, was it?
Yep.
I had one in my car, and I did not in my '68. I did not have it. So he said, we got the best there is. So I don't even want to look at it. So on the way home, Marv Ripes, A1, lived 3 blocks from his house. His shop was 3 blocks from my house. So I drive over there, thinking that I said, and I took it over to him. I didn't call him. I just took it over to him. I said, I got something to show you. And I mean, literally, he had never seen one. So he said, how much? Are you ready? $50, brand new.
Yeah.
$50 brand new. What does the one cost today?
Oh yeah.
65.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
Anyway, and Marv and I go back.
Yeah.
Well, he'll come over tomorrow for lunch.
Yeah.
Anyway, going on. So he puts it in the car, his '57 Chevy. It picks up on the very first run, 6/10.
Sure.
He gets out of the car and he said, boy, that was a piece of junk. It was so mushy that he was so used to it locking up at 1800.
Till he saw the AT slip.
And he said, that's not right. That's not right. And he picked it up 1 second.
Sure.
He sold 3,000 or 4,000 converters.
Sure.
And that's where it came
That's great.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
Another thing that you may want to ask, and I'm bragging a little bit, pat myself on the back.
That's okay.
But
That's okay. You sounds like you've earned it, and you're how old are you now?
80.
80. Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
We're glad you can talk about it right now.
Yeah,
It's great.
Yeah, me too. A long time ago, 1968, I had a Hemi Dart automatic and a Landy. Now the first one was 440, and this is a story that keeps on going. But at the end of 1968, I won everything there was. I won more points than anybody in any division in any category. So at the last race, Landy comes to me and he said, "What do you want to do for the final race?" I said, "I want to take the Hemi car." He said, "Okay." I never drove it.
Yeah.
I won. I beat Dave Wren in the final. But anyway, keep on going. So I get the '69 car, and I don't even want it because it's a street Hemi.
Yeah.
And Richard Charbonneau, remember that name?
Nope, I don't know.
You
it.
don't remember?
I don't know.
Ford.
Remember it? Okay.
Ford station wagon.
Okay.
From Minnesota.
Okay.
Baddest boy there was. He got a Chrysler deal. And he got mad at Kofel, and he neutral started it. 1155. Super stock D automatic. Everybody, Shirley Shahan, Judy Lilly, Ron Mancini, everybody could go 1180s. That's all they could go. 1155 was the record. That's what we ran off of. I don't want it. So finally I broke the 440, and Landy said to me, "You've got to finish the Hemi car. I'm not got any more parts for a 440. We had a ton of parts. So I put it together, and I drove all the way to Sears Point, which is 385 miles from here.
Right.
Gas was 39 cents a gallon, and Motel 6 was called Motel 8 because it was $8. And I went up there, and the entry fee was $12, and I made 3 or 4 runs in this brand new car, and it wouldn't shift to high gear. So I drained the oil and looked up there, and I go, yeah, that looks okay to me. And I put it back together. I made 4 times I tried to change it, took the oil out and threw it away. It was 60 cents a quart. And I drove home. And I called Landy on Saturday night and told him, I said, it broke. He said, go down there tomorrow on Sunday, take the trans out, and I'll take the B&M on Monday. And on Tuesday, they'll have it done. And on Tuesday night, you can come down and put it back in the car. And on Wednesday night, you can go to Orange County. I said, okay. Like that. And I went down there. Remember 1155? I went 1119.
Wow.
I got the first 9J converter, first
Nice.
ever.
Yeah.
I also went to Gainesville in 1970, and I broke the first 9J converter.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I broke.
Yeah.
I actually got out on the starting line and opened the hood to see if the carburetor linkage was still hooked up. He would go, oh, like that. It was terrible. I was off a second, and I come home and I shook the converter, and it sounded like a bag of marbles. No. But I learned that. Anyway, by the way, I don't know anything about transmissions to this day.
It's okay. That's okay. You don't need. You got good transmission people.
I got Smith.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you know who Dave Smith is?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Dave Smith. 30. Well, his son is 37. He was here before they even got married.
Okay.
Okay.
What year was your son? What year was your son? When did he come into your racing?
71. Well,
okay.
That's how he's 51 years old now,
yeah.
And this is kind of a unique thing. He went with me everywhere. I took him to Salt Lake City, and I'd say, oh, here's $5 or $10, and say, whatever you need to eat, go ahead and eat it. And I'm working, racing the car and everything. He got so sick because he must have bought 5 or 6 hot dogs in a row and threw up everywhere. And he was about 5 or maybe 6. So I'd drive home, and we got it home, and after a few years of going with me everywhere, I mean, we've been everywhere, and I said to him, when he was like, well, instead of buying him I bought him a brand new car, because I didn't want him to drive my Corvette. I didn't want him to drive, because I know what I did to my dad's cars. Oh, just terrible. Anyway, so I finally said to him, you want to race? Yeah, just like that. Yeah. I said, oh, I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll tell you what to do. We're going to go to Sears Point, and then I will go from there. We'll go to Seattle, and on Wednesday night, we'll go to Woodburn, Oregon, and they have a race there, and you can drive. Well, I broke something at Sears Point, and I had to drive home, and then drove right on by Woodburn to go to Seattle.
Right.
And I won Seattle.
Right.
So when I get home, we go to another couple, 3 or 4 races. Now we go into the World Finals. And on the way out there, I said, you still want to drive? He said, yeah. So I said, okay, next weekend, no matter what, we'll go to Palmdale. Now, Palmdale's where John Calvert's at.
Right.
And a bunch of people.
Right.
So, keep on, I'll go get on the subject about Doug. We go out there, and I tell him, he's going to run my car. And it's a fast car. It's a D Superstock D automatic, and it would go like 10 flat. So I want you to just drive up stage, and I don't want you to floor it. I just want you to drive down the track. Shift it, shut off, go 80 mile an hour, turn off and make sure, you know. So he did that. And I said, okay, now you can go a little harder. And he made 4 runs in a row without ever really flooring it. So he said, okay, well, I'm ready to go into water. He made a burnout that he backed up and his eyes were this big. He could, oh, it was unbelievable. So he makes about 10 runs on Saturday. They have a race on Sunday. So we're out there for the first run. He gets beat. He has a 2-second lead.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know Doug. You probably don't.
No.
Doug is not, he's not like Bob. Bob tells it like it is.
Seems that way.
Yeah. And people tell me, I don't like the way you are, but when you leave, I know where you stand.
Yeah.
And like I tell people all the time, when I'm right, get out of my way.
Yeah.
When I'm wrong, you don't even know I'm here.
Yeah.
I go underneath the desk over there because I don't want to be wrong.
Right.
But I'm not being pushy. But when I tell you something, it's the truth. My dad told me when I was young, don't lie to me.
Yeah.
Because if you lie to me, I don't need to talk to you. What? He said, if I don't believe a word you say then, because you caught me, I caught you in a lie. But anyway, go on.
Hey, hang on a second. Just, if you guys haven't noticed, I think we found Bob and we put him in his element at this particular time. He seems quite happy. I mean, we've been, you know how long we've been here. That's as long as we've known each other.
That's right.
And he is obviously enjoying himself. So just carry on.
Yeah, and so anyway, Doug goes to Palmdale, and on Sunday, his first light, he got to beat Dad. And normally, you know, what we do, we don't get the guy back in. We're not bracket racers, we're racers. So they had a buyback in for this Superstock race. I said, you want to go back in? He said, yes. So I bought back in. You ready? He won it.
Nice.
I mean,
Yep. He's done.
And
So
then-
now today, you got a AA stock automatic car, is that right?
A automatic.
A automatic car, okay. And then the comp car?
D super modified automatic.
Mm-hmm.
And they're quite a bit different. It's an automatic, but he manually shifts the automatic stocker. He leaves off of a two-step, but it doesn't have any automatic shifter or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the comp car is a whole lot faster now. The stocker goes 10 flat. We've gone in 9s, but don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a cage.
Oh.
Anyway, we're getting ready to put the cage back in it,
Yeah.
or in it. But anyway,
So then, real quick, I mean, I'm just judging by, I mean, I talked to a couple people. So again, I didn't know you, and I just spoke with a couple people before we came. But they said that you and your son both had some super stock GT cars together, correct?
I've
a
had
few
40
years back, and you've driven, obviously. So you and your son both drove cars at the same period of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Actually, not only did I went from my '57 Chevy to Landy's cars, and I had 3 or 4 or 5 of Landy cars.
Right.
And I used to drive 4-speed, and when Chrysler gave me the cars through Landy, I had to have automatics. So all of a sudden, Landy was out riding her Pontiac over on a hill over here, breaks his leg.
Oh.
He calls me up and he said, I'm in the hospital, but I got an appointment next weekend at York, Pennsylvania, and I got to be there.
Yep.
Would you come back and drive it? I said, well, it's a 4-speed. You think I can drive it? Yeah, I think you can. So I went back, and this is cool. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a Monday race. Each day was an individual race.
In Pennsylvania.
Yep. York, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Super Stock Nationals. I won the first day. I won the second day. 4-speed.
Yeah.
I always drove around. I mean, with Landy, I drove around that. I won the second day. I won the third day.
Oh, boy.
We have a big party because all the big wheels from Chrysler was there. And Mr. Maxwell was there and sat next to me right here, eating dinner. And he said, anytime you want to drive a 4-speed, you can drive my car. Woo! Now Landy Landy treated me so good, you cannot believe it.
Yeah.
Never questioned me, ever. So he said to me, Bob, and he liked to drink a little bit, and he got a little high, and he said, Bob, you're making way too many burnout. Back then, we didn't go in the water. I used to do chirpies, 3 or 4 or 5 in a row. And in fact, at Indy, we'd get it in line, and we'd make peelies, like crazy. And Johnny Deanna would make a peelie, and he goes, straight up on the behind the line.
Yeah.
Bang! And he couldn't even get out of the car. Their car bent so bad.
Oh,
anyway, going on. So he said to me, you don't need to make that many burns. And I said, okay, I'll do what you say. Get beat first round, spun the tires.
Oh.
And he comes back and he said, Bob,
my mistake.
don't listen to me ever again. but again, he treated me, it's like better than a son.
That's great.
And anything I wanted, I had it.
So let's transition. So you had the Landy cars, and that's
Landy.
Then you go up to
3 years.
Yep.
And then and I don't get me wrong. No, I'm not jealous about anybody, but I'm saying, man, he's making a lot of money because he's getting paid by Chrysler, and I get to keep all the money I win.
Yeah.
Okay, all of it. But I had to pay my own way, and I paid the gas to go down the road. And I go, oh God, he's making a lot of money. And some kid, I call him to this day, Oklahoma John. He went to Oklahoma to see his mom and dad. He comes back and he said, I saw in my hometown a Hemi Dart. I said, no, you didn't. You see, Bob, I did. Original Hemi Dart. And I said, it wasn't. It was 71.
Yeah.
So he said, I think he wants to sell it. So I said, call him up. I got his phone number. His name was King, Oklahoma guy, King Hooper.
Okay.
And on the side of the car, in huge letters, it said, Hooper's Hopper.
Okay.
I called him up and I said, I was interested in buying your Dart. He said, well, I'd like to sell a Dart. My dad bought it from me, and my dad passed away, and I don't care for cars. I'm a musician, and I don't care for them. I want to sell it. How much do you want for it? He said $2,500. But it comes with a trailer. I said, okay, I'll buy it. They were originally 45, and it's all pen painted. It had a growthier motor, 4-speed Dana.
And it wasn't broke.
And it wasn't broke.
Okay.
So on Wednesday, I said, it was on Monday. On Wednesday, he calls me. Said, I got bad news. I said, oh, you sold it too cheap, didn't it? No, he didn't say that to him. He said, I sold the trailer. I said, did you sell a car? He said, no. Well, you just still want to sell the car? He said, yes. Well, how much do you want for just a car? So I got $300 for the trailer. I'll take $22 for the car. So I go back. I fly back there, and Marv Ripes is coming home from selling his car with an open trailer. He meets me there. The guy gets out of a Hemi Dart. You know, they got plastic, really thin windows. He grabs the window and slams the door because the car won't start. And I told him, don't you touch it. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to break it.
All right.
So I took it home, and I bought it for $2,200. Nice. And I won.
So now you got your own car.
And I took it to Butler. You know, you probably heard.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Ron Butler.
Yep.
And had him do all the motor installation and everything.
He did like chassis work.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Ron Butler had the best cars you could buy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I ran it in 1963. I'm sorry, 72.
Yep.
No, 71. So yeah.
You're in the early 70s
Landy,
now.
68, 69, 70. In 71, I started driving it. I put Dodge on the card. They wouldn't help me. Kofel didn't like me. And I still talk to him, so it's not like I'm mad at him. But, so Mr. Cahill comes over to me after running it for quite a while with Dodge on the car, and he said, Bob, I thought you were no, I take that back. I ran the car the whole year. And then I built a brand new, I went down to the dealer and bought a brand new 71 Duster, 6-cylinder stick shift. On the window sticker, it had no options at all. It had a number.
You just wanted the body.
Yep. I bought it for $1,600. They had one car. And I brought it home, stripped it that day. I mean, to nothing. Took it to the stripper to get the car stripped, and then took it to the dipper on Tuesday. Had it dipped and had Butler build the car. So now I come out to the very first run with it. It's as good as anybody's car.
And what engine combination?
And I didn't put Plymouth on it. And Mr. Cahill comes by, who was the boss at Chrysler. Said, Bob, I thought you were a Dodge guy, and you got a Plymouth. I said, I'm nothing. He said, what do you mean? I said, they don't help me.
Right.
They don't help you? He said, let me see what I can do.
This sounds very familiar, but go ahead.
Okay. So here in the next race, I went over to Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm talking to a guy named Jimmy Stevens. You ever heard of him?
Not really, no.
Ford guy,
Okay.
Ford guy.
Okay.
With a, can't remember the car, but a small car. Like what kind of car did Arlen Vanke have? The first Ford.
Oh, a Maverick?
Maverick. He had a Maverick Blackman, 4-speed, and he ran it in B, super modified. It was good. And before that, he had a Roadster. Anyway, he was talking to me, and Kofel comes over to me and said, I need to talk to you in private. I said to him, and remember I'm outspoken. I said, what the hell do you need to talk to me for?
Yeah.
I said, you can talk in front of anybody. You have nothing to say that I'm going to hide. He said, Bob, I need to talk to you in private. So Jimmy Stevens said to me, I'll go. So we get in my truck, and then, by the way, I have an Olenek a 4-door Dodge truck with a 22-foot box on it. Brand new, I bought it new. And we get up in the truck, and he said, I want to help you. He said, I only have one thing that you have to do, and there's no excuse that you don't do it. So what is it? He said, I don't tell you where to go. I don't tell you when you have to race. But on Sunday night, you have to collect from 6 o'clock Sunday night till 6 in the morning, Monday morning. It don't matter. You got to tell me where you raced, who you got beat by, or who you beat, and then your parts order. No limit on how long the phone is. But you cannot call me up and say, oh, I was sick.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
So I said, I can do that. So I would call Chrysler and tell you who I won and and I had this. I won $39,000 in 1971 with my Pro Stock car. By the way, I got fired from my last job by the dealership. You know why? Because I went to Salt Lake City and had trouble with the truck, Landy's truck, and had to put a fuel pump on the floor of the truck to get home. Electric fuel. Anyway, I got home and I called him, and no cell phone, nothing like that. And I called him and I said, I'll be in tomorrow. He said, no, bring in a uniform or you're fired. And I went back to the dealer, the owner, a year later, and I said, I went in his office. Bob Lambeck, he said, yep, I know who you are. I said, I want to thank you. He said, for what? I said, you fired me. He said, you want to thank me? I said, yeah. If I wasn't fired, I'd be still here. I'd be still working there.
Yeah, exactly.
Or because I won't quit. I keep doing what I do.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So the Duster was the Pro Stock car, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and it was a 70. Actually, I made it a 72. Chrysler gave me all the parts to make it a 72. And and I won a lot of money with that car. Now, was I the fastest? No, but I was pretty damn fast.
Yeah.
And
well, the main thing is you were there. I mean, people don't understand. You got to not just build a car and not go to a race or two. You got to be involved. You've got to go.
And I did. By the way, I bought my. Well, I'm gonna take you through my shop. And I bought all of the stuff in 1975. I have a CK10, a Blockbuster, all the valve equipment, a mill, a lathe.
Yeah, sure.
And I bought all that, and
so you started an engine business.
Yeah. Well, what happened is I learned how to do some. I've always put my motors together. Always, even when I had my Pontiac, I did.
Yeah.
In fact, I even had my block honed, and brought it home and washed it. It'll dry.
Rusted.
Pure rusted. Here in California. And I was sick. I had to go back and have it rehoned. But I learned.
Right.
And the same way with I had somebody put a 430 rear end gear in my 390, and they didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't put a spacer in between the ring gear. First time I let the clutch out, broke this axle on the left side.
Right.
I learned it. I come home from Indy, and I got tired of the tow hubs because they would go like this all the time. It was not perfect. So I left them off. Towed home with a 513, I think it was, on the street. And the first time I let the clutch out, broke the rear end. That was because it was blue.
You wore it out.
Yeah, but I learned. And back then, even if it was $25, you didn't want to waste that money because it was $25. You worked hard for that money.
Right.
And anyway, that's kind of my hold on. I like stock.
Yeah.
But it's not an easy class to win.
Right.
No.
Right.
Because you have zero advantage.
Right.
And like I was telling one of the guys that runs Top Sportsman, said, if you come in a comp, you spend the same amount of money. But I might have somebody by 200s. I got an advantage on you.
Right. Right.
In stock, everybody kind of like. Did you see what Brad Burton did?
Sure.
Light, 2000s over.
Right. Yeah, that's.
Think you had a chance? Nobody.
Nobody had a chance on that.
And
the kid's good for sure.
I remember one time. You know who Hogan is? You know the name Hogan.
Right.
Manifolds.
Intakes, yeah.
Him and I were friends he used to live right here, and he come over to me at the Winter National and said, "Look at that, man, 004 light." I said, 000. You can't.
I know.
I mean, I
It's a silly game. Well, there's no dispute. It's a very silly game. But
stupid.
But it's very stupid. But we've done it for a long time.
Hooked.
Right. You get hooked. I've said this in other videos. I've never had much money to do this, but I always kept a car.
Yeah.
I always had a car, and because of that, we're here.
That's right.
We're here. I mean, we're from Detroit. You're from Detroit, but you've been living here for 50 years, 60 years. Yep. And we can come out here and enjoy each other at this level.
And relate.
That's right. Because, we go to these races and I'm getting to know some of these West Coast people now. And we're all the same.
Yep.
You know, we're all
Calvert and Keene.
Oh yeah.
And all kinds
Richard
of
Pauly, and then Paul Long,
Pauly.
and, you know, there's just a lot of guys. You know, and
Yeah.
I've met more as we go. So it's all good. We're just having a very enjoyable time.
Come on back.
So you know, obviously, it's more than just winning rounds.
Oh yeah.
To a lot of people.
And what happens is it makes you feel good when you do good.
Sure.
And you can relate to when people don't do good.
Yeah.
And anyway, like I said, I had to move out of next door, so I got a lot more junk in here than I used to. But
right.
this is what I have.
Yep.
And by the way, I knew Bill Jenkins pretty well.
Yeah.
And years ago, and I can show you even right now, but he wanted me to hand home. So I went back to his shop one time when I was in New York with my wife, and I drove around, and on a Wednesday, I drove out in the field. I love the country. And I come into Berwyn, and I told my wife, I said, God dang it, this is where Jenkins lives. She said, you knew where you were going. I said, I did not know. But I stopped and saw him. And I go in, and I go, Jenkins not around. He's got a CK10 knocked down there. So he gets back, and I said, I thought you said you want me to hand home. Well, I couldn't afford one, a CK10. Now I could. It's all money. It's all money.
It's all about the money. It's all about the money. Absolutely.
See the shocks over on the wall? And it got all apart, you know.
All right.
Come on back one more. Valve grinder, you know, and then I can do stones over here, and valve jobs and guides and blaster and all that stuff that goes with this.
Oh, nice.
Very good. And then one more back here.
Oh, just going back. Go back, Joe.
This is just my parts. A little bit of junk in there. Unbelievable amount of junk. But then over here,
Gotta have some inventory.
Joe. If I had the energy to do it today, I'd probably run this thing here, but I'm not doing it tomorrow, until Monday or Tuesday. But it's a 426 Hemi cross ram street car.
Oh, come on. We can't fire that thing up. Only got to put
Not
some
right now.
headers on it. We can help you with the headers.
Yep.
We can.
Yep. No, I don't feel like doing work.
No worries.
I'm not doing the work.
Very good.
Yep. And by the way, just so I could brag a little bit, let me show you in here. Come in here. Come on back over this way. I'm a numbers person. Now, come here. This is hard to believe. This is 100% full on both sides of the page. And you're going to say, what is it? Okay. See what it says? Dyno time. What's the date? 2/7/87. And the engine, it's Bob Lambeck's motor, Blackie. It made 55 pulls. A couple days later, 13th, Bob Lambeck, red, I made 35 pulls. And then it keep on going, all of these, and those are all, every single page is full on both sides, 20 cars per motors. And then over here, this is page 85, and it goes all the way up to number 98. And that's going to be, oh, that's this one here, was the one I ran, Ed Naquette, made 1,027. And that one there is going to be 1,957 motors.
Wow.
And It's made before number 98, 19,581 poles.
Yeah.
My butt. Yep. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, folks. Well, we didn't. We were at the
BSing again.
we're at the Mexican restaurant with Bob. All the waitresses are flirting with him already when we come through the door. Not sure what that's all about. But
I come here a lot.
But Bob claims that he has something to do with the 170-pound addition to your stock and super stock weight, including the 170 pounds. Okay, so he's going to explain exactly how this came to be. Go ahead, Bob. Good, you're good to go.
Okay. And now
So
what
you-
this is I don't ever lie about anything.
I understand. It's good.
And I mean, I tell it like it is.
Yep.
And what happened is I had to race Judy Lilly, who was a very good Chrysler car.
Yep.
And when I raced her, I'd be 120 pounds heavier than her. And we know that 120 pounds is a lot of AT.
So you're coming in at 200 and
Yeah, I weighed 220 or 240 or 250 pounds.
and
who
she
knows?
was she was
She probably
120.
weighed 120 and wet. Anyway, so I went over at NHRA in North Hollywood, and Farmer had an office, and right next door to the Farmer was Jack Hart, the vice president of NHRA. So I told Farmer about the inequity of having, and I said it's because you have more men than you have women. Nothing to do with gender or anything like that. It's just that you want to make your customers happy. So the more customers you have that are happy, the more money they want to spend with you. So I said, why don't you weigh the driver in the car? It'll save you time, because I don't have to get out of the car. And it'll make more of your men more competitive. And he said, well, wait a minute, what about weight? I said, why don't you just take the national average of a man, 170 pounds. Done. That was it. No more talk.
That's
done.
What year do you think this was?
I don't remember now what year. But I had a 68 yard.
Excuse me, Derek. Do you know this guy?
Yes.
Just under.
How are you, Bob?
How are you today?
You brought me some friends, huh?
You guys know what? You know, no, maybe not. They've never been here before. They're from
Okay.
Michigan.
Oh, nice.
He's from Michigan.
Yeah, but I've been here 60 years.
Yeah. Not anymore, huh? Can I get you something to drink?
Diet and a
Ice
water.
water for me.
Diet, water,
Iced tea.
iced tea.
Unsweet.
I'll have water.
I'll be right back with that, okay?
Anyway, so he said, done, no more talk about it. That's all right. And the next year we come out with the driver had to weigh 170 pounds.
Great.
And I look at it, and it wasn't for me. It was for everybody.
Right.
Okay. And I think everybody appreciates that.
Sure.
And I don't like making rules for Bob. I don't like making rules for one person.
Right.
And you guys pretty well know what's going on with rules.
Yeah, I took it in stride, when I started, but I always wondered, how did that come to be? That's great. All right. Thank you so much, Bob.
Nope.
We're going to eat some dinner here.
Okay, guys, here we are.
Okay.
All right, Bob. Thank you so much.
You bet.
It was a
Really been fun.
memorable day.
Enjoyed all your stories.
Oh yeah,
it's
thank
great,
you very
great
much.
stories. And we hope to see you at the racetrack next week.
Next weekend we will be over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And, only going to bring the stocker, so
Stocker only. Okay, good enough. All right, guys.
be careful.